strategic live. It's 4:44 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it was definitely a strategic build. So, welcome to Release and Launch. This is a that we are in. I believe that we are in the divine timing of God, and are someone who knows that we are in the divine timing of God. This message is really going to relate. You are going to feel this need to build, this need to grow, this need to launch out, this God is doing. And so we'll be onto this teaching if you are need to build, you're feeling this need to do something new. If you are thinking about launching something, right? If you is really going to make this difference for you, right? It's really going to spark this thought in you like, okay, what do I need to do to position so that I can go and get the things that God is calling me to have, right? Because what happens is I think that when the Lord is calling us to greater, or when he's drawing us in with this desire for more, we get confused and we start thinking that that desire is us. We get to thinking that, oh, I just want something, maybe I'm just overthinking, maybe I just am desiring something that's out of my own heart. The Bible even just lets us know that the Lord is desires of our heart, and some of the things that you think are you really is God, right? Really impressing some things upon you to do new. So there's a burden, right? There's a burden that may be on your heart to do what God is saying. And it feels so uncommon to you, right? It doesn't really make sense because sometimes, even as the Lord is telling you to do something, it doesn't add up with maybe the skills that you have. It may not add up with the timing that you're in. It's like, God, I got bills to pay. How am I going to launch in a business? I don't even have time. I don't have energy. But what God is saying is when you launch out and you do something in obedience, when you launch out and you do something in faith, when you launch out believing that God is with you in the matter he called you to, he makes up for the differences, be financial, he makes up for the differences, whether it be time. And so if God is putting a burden on your heart to do something different in this season, you have to be aware of that. You have to be spiritually aware of that, and you have to begin to move on it, right? And so we're talking about procrastination, but a lot of procrastination is the reason why so many people can't launch, so many people can't build. And so we're going to deal with procrastination. But a lot of times, even as you may feel that desire to build, to do something new, to launch out, to prepare for something greater, you know that God is saying this to you, right? Even that desire, even in the midst of all of that, want to do and that need to be obedient, sometimes you feel stuck, you feel unsure, you lack strategy, direction, clarity, motivation, and then that causes you all. So even though I know what God is saying, and even though I want to be obedient, and even though I want to, walk in the blessings and the authority and the power of God, even though I want to experience the supernatural power of God, that he's done great things for other people, right? We'll look online and we'll see people who have built businesses, built churches, built ministries, and hear their supernatural testimonies. And we'll start thinking to ourselves, why can't I experience those supernatural testimonies? Why does it feel like I take one step forward and 10 steps backwards? Why does it feel like I'm always, in the spiritual warfare of things, or in the thick of things, and not able to get to the other side? Is anybody on here with me that feels that way? Like, it's always like you're on the cusp of something, like you're on the cusp of something better. It always feels like you're about to break through. It always feels like you're about to see God's hand move for you and your family. It always feels like it's almost there. But what ends up happening is, in the midst of almost, you like, came and it just deflated. Something came and it just knocked me off course. Something came and it just pushed me into a place where I'm like, what just like it's like a tail happened. So we're going to talk about this thing called procrastination because I think that there is a I'm gonna call it an epidemic. I'm gonna call it an epidemic of people confusing spiritual warfare, experiencing spiritual warfare versus just you operating in procrastination, right? Having that mirror reflection, that dialogue with yourself to determine whether this is spiritual warfare or whether this is procrastination. But one of the things I want to break in people's mind first is that do you realize that procrastination is common? The best of us get in a place of procrastination, right? No matter how great you are, no matter how good you are, no matter what you've built before, you can get into a place of stagnation, procrastination. You can get into a place of fear. This is a normal thing. But I think what happens is you see people who are successful and you think that they don't battle with the challenge of procrastination. Oh, that they're always in this mode of wanting to get up and go. Like they always have this energy to get things done. It is not true. It is just not true. But if you look at it from the lens of your own perspective and what you have, been challenged with, and you look over there and it looks like the grass is greener, you will think that they have some superpower that you don't possess. But the truth of the matter is we all face some levels of procrastination and these challenges. And so I recently put a post that said, what if the thing laying your necks isn't spiritual warfare, it's procrastination? It's procrastination. How many of y'all deal with procrastination? Listen, I do. I do this little thing that tell myself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. I have to tell that to myself subconsciously. I'm saying this and I practice it so much in my mind that I will just do it right in my head to tell myself to get up and to do something that I've been delaying all day. And I'm talking about minor things, right? I'm not talking about big things. I'm talking about just something as simple as get up and go over there and wash those dishes. I'll look over there 10 times and I'll be thinking to myself, I know those dishes need to be washed. I know I want them washed before dinner time so I can cook in a clean kitchen. And I'll still be sitting there on the couch saying to myself, I don't feel like it. I'll do it in 10 minutes or I'll give myself to 3 o'clock. And then here comes 3 o'clock. I have to tell myself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up and do what you said you're going to do. Right. And so as I looked at that post that I put up, there were so many people who were saying like, yeah, you're right. I'm not, it's not spiritual warfare. I'm definitely in a place where I procrastinate, right? It's not spiritual warfare. And let me tell you something, spiritual warfare can most certainly delay you. It can distract you. It could throw you off. It could cause slothfulness. It could cause tiredness. But you have to be able to discern the difference. You really have to discern the difference because you can be calling your lack of effort, your lack of consistency, you can be calling that spiritual warfare when the truth of the matter is just habit, right? When the truth of the matter is it's just a lack of you making progress or movement. But I want to also point out something about procrastination too, that I think people overlook as well, like as it relates to what procrastination really is and what it really does to you. Because I think sometimes people think that procrastination is a work ethic issue, right? Oh, well, maybe I'm not working hard enough. Maybe, it's something in me that doesn't want to do the work. But the truth of the matter is you go to that job, you give it 100%, you go to church, you serve in ministry, you give it 100%. It is not a work ethic issue, so your procrastination is not a work ethic issue. It's not a issue where you don't know what to do or how to do. It's not a do issue, right? I'm going to tell you what it really is. But what's happening when you're ready to launch is you have to really take a inventory of what's happening in you, what's happening around you. You got to take an inventory of mindset. You got to take an inventory of habits. You got to take an inventory of yourself when you are ready to launch something, when you're ready to do something, and then already decide what is it that could possibly stop me? And sometimes it is warfare, but a lot of times it's procrastination, right? And this is what I believe procrastination is. Procrastination is not simply a work ethic issue. Procrastination is an issue that has to do with you looking for a feeling. Procrastination is not a work ethic issue. It's not this fight to try to do something more or try to muster up the strength to get something done. It is a emotional thing, right? Where you're looking for a feeling, you're looking for a spark, you're looking for a confirmation, you're looking for an adrenaline rush. You're looking for the serotonin and the oxytocin, all that to kind of like to give you this emotion that makes you move, because it is something about motivation. You're looking for all the stars to align. You're looking for everything to be perfect. Can I tell you how I know? Can I tell you how I know? Because when you get up there in the prophecy lines, right? Or the prophet comes, you feel like doing. It's like if a certain preaching comes across, if a certain teaching comes across, if a certain prophetic word comes across, that immediate adrenaline makes you want to do. And so it's not that you don't know what to do, you don't know how to do. It is you teaching and training yourself to do what you don't feel, to do when there is no feeling, when the stars aren't aligned, when everything is not working, when things are literally sometimes falling apart, still building, still creating, still utilizing your gift, still going forth in your calling. Does that resonate with you guys? Is there anybody on here that can say, yeah, that's what exactly what I do? I look for a feeling. I look to feel motivated. I look to wake up and feel a spark. And when I don't feel a spark, I don't move, right? When I don't feel like this is going to produce a result immediately, then I don't move. I don't push myself past feeling. Because when you push yourself past feeling, you start acting even when you don't feel like it. Let me tell you something. God always call everybody who's been around me for years. Some of y'all have been around me for years. I see faces. Hello, hello to those that have been around for a while. You know that I only come out and get on my lives and series and coaching and teaching when God prompts me. I am not somebody that necessarily feels like, oh, I'm gonna go live today and I'm gonna teach this. And I don't necessarily always feel that way. A lot of times it is a God thing, right? It is God waking me up in the midnight hour, like, hey, there's some people that need to hear something. Word, this is the word I want to release. And so the word that God kept giving me to release, I kept hearing it, was to release and launch. Release and launch. And I'm like, God, what is it that you want me to, what is it that you want me to launch? What is it that you're telling me to say? What is it that you're telling me to share? And he's like, I'm not just telling you to release and launch. I'm telling you to tell them to release and launch. I'm telling you to tell them to build. I'm telling you to tell them that this is a timing thing that's happening right now. God has divine timing. And when people think that the door is always open, the door is not always open. Even when you think about any door you've ever walked through, right? Any door, at some point, doors close, right? At some point, the store closes at the end of the day, and you can't get in there to get nothing that you want until it reopens, right? Until somebody decides that they're going to unlock that door and reopen it, right? So we're in a time where God has opened the door, and then there's a time frame where you get in and you work and you build and you do what he says, right? And so The real antidote for killing your procrastination is not simply doing, but it's doing in spite of how you feel. It's doing in spite of the emotion. It's overcoming how you feel with the tiniest daily action, right? The tiniest daily step towards your progress. It's taking whatever step is necessary. It's not looking for perfect. It's not trying to figure out what you can't do daily. It's trying to figure out what I can do daily, and then not overcomplicating the step that's going to break the procrastination. Because a lot of times you overcome with the smallest actions. A lot of times people are looking for this big thing, but the smallest daily action is what breaks my procrastination. I told you guys, I say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I get up to do things that I don't feel like doing. It's the smallest training and development to redevelop your habits. And so you work on everything else without needing to feel anything. You don't need to feel to go to work. You go to work despite how you feel. You don't even like going there. You actually get sick when you think about work. You get sick on Saturday night when you think about that tomorrow is Sunday and you don't even got to go to work till Monday, because you have chosen to overcome how you feel so you can go and do work for your income, right? Right? You have trained your mind, you've trained your thinking to know that I'm going, you know what, I'm gonna overcome this so I can get up and go to work no matter how I feel. But when it comes to doing your business, doing your ministry, being consistent in those things, you haven't trained yourself to realize, like, no matter how I feel, I'm gonna get up and do. Like I said, you can do it for work. Yeah, even people not want to hear this, but sometimes you don't feel like doing ministry, but you still get up and do ministry because you know somebody's counting on you, somebody's looking to you. You don't want to disappoint the pastor, the ministry leaders. You have to train yourself to overcome how you feel in those things and still do. But you haven't trained yourself to overcome how you feel in the things that God have called you to and still do. Okay, so you have to get to a place where you are overcoming how you feel with the smallest action, and then getting to a place where that feeling is not what sparks the motivation or the movement, that the thing that you begin to do for your business, your ministry, whatever God is calling you to launch and build, that you do that based on habits. You do that based on tradition or ritual, right? Because all the other things you do based on ritual. That's what I'm saying. You have to develop a daily habit, daily choice, or a daily decision, even the smallest action you do every day to build up habits, to build up rituals, to build up traditions that you won't break. Right. And so you have to do this for yourself. The same way you fear letting down other people, you have to get to a point that you fear letting you down. You fear letting God down. You fear letting yourself down again. Like, you've let yourself down enough, right? Because to be honest, you say yes to everybody else. You follow through on everything for everybody else. You keep your word to everybody else. You don't feel like doing the thing you told them yes about. You follow through on it. But when it comes to you, your business, your ministry, the thing that you want to launch, the thing that you want to do, you will give yourself a no. You will count yourself. You will allow fear to determine whether or not you go forward. You will allow yourself to literally make a poor decision and affect you. You'll actually tell somebody else yes, knowing that you just sacrificed your own yes to the thing you needed to do for you and your family, and then find yourself in the same place next year, right? So we have to get to the point where we no longer are sacrificing our yes to ourselves. We know we are no longer allowing ourselves to do for everybody else and everything else and never follow through or keep our word to ourselves. That's a big deal. Because some of you all started 2026 off with this mindset that you would have something built by now, that you have something launched by now, you have something stable right now. You at least have the framework out there. You at least be at a place where you can say, wow, look at what I built, look what I've done for the Lord, look what I've done for my, for the Lord. At least be at that place. But now here it is. We're in July. We're ending July and starting August, and you take inventory. See, I'm not a person. I don't take inventory at the end of the year. That is the habit of people who don't really know the word of the Lord. Like when the word of God talks about how the ants prepare. The word of God tells us to look to the creation, look to creation. And if you look around at creation, you'll see that creation begins to prepare during this time for the time when the season changes, right? During this time, squirrels and things, you start seeing them very shortly. You'll start seeing the squirrels and things running to and fro, gathering and preparing for the season where they have nothing to gather, for the season where it's too cold to gather. You'll begin to see the everything else in nature. Let me just put it that way. You'll begin to see everything else in nature prepare, except for God's people. We'll procrastinate. We wait till the storm comes. We wait for the season to change. We wait for all of the elements, everything, the forces to be against us, and then we call it spiritual warfare. But no, it's your weight that brought on the spirit of warfare. And what if you the weapon that formed against you? I love when I think about things like that. There's this saying, I sometimes quote it wrong, but forgive me if I quote it wrong. But there's this saying, there's no enemy, no enemy without on the outside of me can do me no harm. But if the enemy is within, then we have a problem. And so sometimes the spiritual warfare that is being brought on is literally a result of carelessness. It's a result of lack of preparation. It's a result of procrastination. Okay. And so that brings me to the release and launch series that I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be on live every day. I'm not sure if I'm going to be, if I'm going to do twice a day. We're going to see, because y'all know I can go live in the morning, the afternoon, and the nighttime. And I love to teach, right? I love to teach when God has given me something to say, right? And God has given me something that is specifically designed for people, right? But the framework launch, right? It is an acronym that I'll be teaching. I'll be coaching you through. I'll be live. The lives will be up. The replays will be up. You can share it. You can send it out to others. But the acronym launch is literally let go, right? So the L stands for let go. Release what no longer serves your assignment. A is for align, come to agreement with God's timing and purpose. The U is for uncover. That's identifying the gifts, the talents, the wisdom that you've buried, those things that you've buried within yourself and within, hurt and pain and all those things. So you really have to uncover some of those things behind some things that you've gone through and experienced in life. Navigate is for the end. So that's developing a practical strategy for your next. C is commit. So choose consistent obedience over perfection. No, it's not going to be all great. Everything is not going to be all in alignment, but I'm willing to commit to being consistent. And then the is harvest, right? After you've let go, you've aligned, you've uncovered, you've gotten through that process of navigating to get your practical strategy. You've gotten to a place where you're committed and you're obedient, regardless of how you feel and regardless of how perfect it is. Now you come into a place of harvest. And you're able to harvest. That's when you step into the impact and the success that follows the faithful actions that you've had. A lot of times people are looking for a harvest, but have no faithful action. Can we be honest? Can we be honest that we'll look over and we'll see someone else reaping? We'll see somebody else getting. We'll look over and be like, look at their business is flourishing. It looks like they're prospering. It looks like their family is prospering. But if we're honest and we take inventory, we can see that we have not done the faithful action that allows harvest to come, right? We haven't done the faithful action. If you go out and plant a field of seeds, but you give it no sunlight, you give it no water, you don't tend to the garden, you don't weed, you don't do anything to water those seeds, even if you went out there and planted them, and you don't tend to that garden, it will not produce the harvest that you were expecting. And so we have to get to that place where we are saying to ourselves, you know what, I've been sowing seed, but have I been in a place of faithful action so I can receive the harvest of God? We want to receive the harvest of God. God has us in his divine timing. He is literally calling us to work while it's day. He's calling us to do what he has blessed us and gifted us to do. He's calling us to uncover those things that have been hidden in dark places that we have buried. Can I tell you that some of you buried your assignment? Do you know the parable of the talents? You buried your assignment because of fear, because of procrastination, because you're looking for someone to come alongside you and high five you, because you allowed whatever burdens, whatever attacks, whatever you was facing to cause you to bury stuff. Do you know that consistent where everybody else would say, why are you still working? You know, I have worked when my baby was in the hospital. I have worked when I was miscarrying, when my grandmother died. I have done even at the points and stages of life. Why? Why did I do that? I did that because obedience and faithfulness produces harvest, right? That's what no seed that I sown was not going to sprout out when it's time for. If you get too emotional, you out there in water, and you'll have wasted your time sowing. Do you know how hard it is to sow seed? How hard it is to plant? Do you know how hard it is to go out there and water every day to then not reap a harvest? No, I'm going to make sure that no matter what happens, I don't water harvest. If I with tilling and weed and doing the work, I don't harvest. And so we're in the divine timing of God. We are in the divine timing of God. He is calling his people to put in work ethic, to see something all the way to the fruit. So I'm leaving you with that. I said a lot. I think I've said enough to. I think I've said enough to leave you with a thought in your mind to stop the procrastination. Procrastination isn't just about doing; it's about looking for feeling to overcome the feeling and put yourself in a positive place and position to have daily action, creating daily action that contradicts what you would normally do, that contradicts the normal behavior that keeps you from moving forward. And back this realm of teaching, this teaching space,